Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again, and I am here to do another Hell's Kitchen review. And this was an intense episode. This episode was like an episode where, like, you know those things where like you grab your hair, like you're pulling on your hair because it's so like stressful and like intense. Like that was this episode to a T, because there were so many twists and turns in the second half, and it was such a close battle, and it was such a good episode, I would say. There were some times where I thought, this episode's not going to be good, and they're going to do an injustice, but then that injustice didn't happen. But it could have happened, and I would have been very upset, but not too upset, because then that person also kind of deserved it. But anyways, we started off the episode with basically the editors telling us who was going to go home. Because you had Sammy, the best, the best one there, I think. Yeah, probably. She said she wished Gordon sent home 2 people, which meant that she wanted him to send home Danya as well. And I was like, yes! And she also said that Danya and Carmen are the weak links on the red team, and I said, yes! That was funny. Like, as soon as the episode started, I was like, yes! Yes! I was like, she knows what she's talking about. You know, she could probably do a review of the show. She could replace me. I could probably, like, insert her voice into AI cloning. And then I could just, put everything that I would say, and it would probably be the same thing that she would say. Because I was like, I know, he should have sent 2 people home. That was a big missed opportunity on his part, especially since in this episode, Danya goes home. And this whole episode just kind of felt like, I guess that finally, like, I guess better late than never. Like, she could have gone home last week. You could have saved yourself a lot of time, Gordon. But maybe he just really wanted to do that blind taste test and have her there for the other challenge. But, I mean, it was a big fail. And it was just like I said, too. Like, this is what happens when you don't send people home who are, they're great cooks like her. Or great chefs, actually. I should say that, because that's more nice. But she's not the one. And you can tell, because she's just not there yet. She has a lot of mistakes. She has a lot of flaws. And even though she's really, really good, she's not the best of the best. And so, like, then you had another chef, which now I can't even remember, because I'm living in the now, with Hell's Kitchen. There were chefs that, like, they just made, like, 1 or 2 mistakes, and then they go home, and then she's still there, and I was like, terrible. So anyways, there was a Hell's Kitchen food fight. That was very funny. They started off, and they talked about space food, and I was getting really hesitant, because I thought this better not be a space food challenge where they have to elevate space food, because space food isn't meant to be good. It's meant to survive into outer space so that the astronauts can eat it on their journey. So I was really glad that, there was a big, like, space theme at the beginning. And so I was really glad that they didn't go the route of, you have to elevate space food. Take this space ice cream that I got from an Air Force museum and elevate it. Make it Chef Gordon standard, which now I guess you can say is Walmart standard, because I sell shitty frozen meals in Walmart too. But no, it was the blind taste test challenge. They do it every season. I got really excited when they announced they would do that this episode. And then Carmen got excited too. She said she's been looking forward to this. So even though she said like last week, like she stopped growing, I guess that she was really excited for this challenge. And I would not have been excited based on the descriptions that people gave in this episode, because everyone said that like the food did not taste right. It doesn't taste like what you would think it would taste like, and it's very cold. And you know, that's something that I don't think they bring up enough, is the temperature, because in MasterChef, Gordon and the other judges, they eat cold food. Like, they like, I don't know, they have some kind of system how they do it where they judge it beforehand or something, and then they judge it again for the camera, and the food's cold by then because the food's been sitting out. And so, like, Gordon's used to that by now, but these Hell's Kitchen chefs, they're not used to eating cold food, and so they just get this cold little pile of slop in their mouth, and it's like, okay, what is that? And it's like, I don't know, it just tastes like, I don't know, like, and so this challenge, it was kind of it was a little bit of a letdown, just in terms of, like, nobody really stood out except for Heather Graham 2.0. Everyone else did not do really very well. And, you know, as I said, Carmen, she did not do very well. She said that the food was cold and flavorless. I guess that was her mental gymnastics helping her out of that one. And, like, so far, I think, or maybe in the whole challenge, I think people only got 2 at most. Like, 2 or 3 at most right. Compared to, like, I think other seasons where you'll have someone and they get, like, everyone right, and you'll be like, uh-oh, it's a tough battle here, but this challenge wasn't as tough of a battle. It's all in the second half where things really heat up. And what really surprised me, though, was how bad Sammy did. Sammy did not do well. She's a really good, she's a contender, but she did not do well in this taste test. And something really funny is what Jonathan said about this challenge. He said, I brushed my teeth twice and I cut back on the cigarettes this morning. And I thought that was such a funny comment to make because, you know, Safi has infamously talked about over and over again that she refuses to watch Hell's Kitchen because she doesn't understand why you have all these chefs that smoke and then they can't taste the food properly because they smoke all the time. And so it's funny that, like, Jonathan admitted that, like, he cut back on the cigarettes on purpose so that he could do a better job with this taste test. And I thought, that's actually kind of interesting. Like, I wonder if anyone in any other season has mentioned, like, if anyone is out there, like, in any other season, has a chef mentioned that, like, they didn't smoke as many cigarettes so that they could taste things better, or did they mention that it impacted it? Because I think it would impact it a lot. And so I thought that was a really interesting comment. And once again, the men win. But I will say, too, if you don't like Heather Graham 2.0, you'll like this episode because she gets dumped on a lot of times in the first half of this episode. Because in the food fight, when they're all throwing food at each other, including at Chef Gordon, I think, was it the Irish guy or Jonathan? One of them threw food right at Heather Graham 2.0's face, and then she also got dumped on the most in this taste test challenge. So I think she got the worst of the worst stuff dumped on her. And so if you don't like her, you'll like this episode because you get to see her get dumped on. And then at the end, of course, I thought the funniest part was she made her infamous sad face. She had that little frown. I thought that was hilarious. And so the men's team got to go on an $1,000 per person shopping spree, which I thought that is clearly something that the women would have been very interested in. Not saying that, like, that's all that they're interested in, but, it sounded like something that they were all very excited about, and they were like, oh, no. We should have trained Sammy in between episode filming. We should have, like, trained her and secretly fed her baby food and, tried to make her used to this type of crap so that she could do a good job and we could go shopping. But nope, the men get to go shopping. I was really sad, honestly. Like, another episode. Like, how many episodes has it been this whole season? Where, like, the men win, they get the reward, and then the women lose, and they get trash. And then the women's team, they had to clean up for charity night. And I gotta say, though, that wasn't the worst challenge. I mean, the worst punishment. Like, that's another punishment where I'm like, that's not so bad. Come on. Like, you have to clean up at home. And so, like, I didn't think that sounded that bad. And then Danya actually got really down and dirty. And they focused a little bit more on Danya this episode. But they to me, I was really thrown off, though, because they focused a lot on Jason, too. And I was really shocked that he was not the one who went home this episode based on how much the editor was focusing in on him. Like, even when the girls are doing their punishment, what did they do? They talk about Chef Jason. And they say, we should get Jason's toothbrush and use it to clean this whole place. And it's like, yeah, that'd be pretty funny. I think if they did that, they'd get in trouble, though, unfortunately. So, for the night, they are having a charity event. You got 2 charities, one for each team, and each person on each team is responsible for one course. Because it's like a 6-course dinner, including a dessert, which I thought was really cool. For once they do dessert in Hell's Kitchen. Hell yeah. Let's go for desserts. I probably have too many. But that's okay. And so, each chef also has to go up against each other. And so they have to kind of release their courses at the same time. And so it's, as I said, it's like a very intense battle between each chef, kind of. It was really intense to write, too. And something else that I did while watching this? For tomorrow we have to watch what is probably one of the worst Christmas movies I've ever seen, Jingle All the Way Part 2. And I hate it so much that I was trying to get it done as fast as possible. So on the commercial breaks, I would set the phone down and then put on Jingle All the Way too, so that I would get that movie over with, or get her done, as Larry the Cable Guy would say, because I just want to get it done so badly. And so just jumping back and forth between watching Larry the Loser Cable Guy and then watching Hell's Kitchen, I was like, that's probably why this review is so scatterbrained, is because I was just like all over the place mentally, and then writing all these notes. I was like, what is going to happen next? Like, this is like... So you had Jason versus Carmen. Uh-oh. For the first and last course. I mean, they both really... They fumbled the ball in this episode. I think... They did not do very well, because they had 2 chances to impress. No other chef on either team had a second chance to do another course and say, hey, I did that course really well, even though I screwed that other one up. And both of them kind of sucked. Both of them. So I was really disappointed with that. Some men overcooked the scallops. They were black. But here's the thing I thought was interesting. Nobody owned the mistake. And I felt like this was an attempt, possibly, to sabotage Jason. And now I don't like Jason. If you watch my first episode review, I was ready to I don't want to say something inappropriate, but like never mind. I won't say anything that I'll regret later. But let's just say something bad. But like I really felt like it was kind of strange, the fact that like you had just a couple of guys. How many guys are left? Like 1, 2, 3, or 4? 3 or 4 guys, and just one of them happens to overcook the scallops really badly, and then nobody takes accountability. And in my opinion, it might have been the Irish guy, because in this episode, he is revealed to be really, really full of himself. He thinks that he is the strongest person on the blue team. And then, I think it was last episode or the episode before, where he got really upset and offended that they were going to possibly put him up for elimination. And I think based on all this, on all that, he's probably the one who screwed up these scallops, and he probably did it on purpose to screw up Chef Jason, or he did it on accident, and he is just not going to admit it because he's perfect, which is kind of funny because this whole season, I have thought that Jason was the one who was really full of himself, and he's just this dickhead who's like, you know, he looks weird, he acts weird, he is a weirdo. But then you have this Irish guy. He is like double full of himself. I mean, he is like so full of himself that they haven't even scratched the surface of how full of himself he is. And so I feel like he's probably going to have a bad time in one of these episodes coming up, because finally the cracks are going to come, or the cracks are going to appear on him, and then he's going to crumble into pieces because he's not going to handle the criticism, which Jason doesn't really handle it either. But he doesn't really handle much of anything except for his I don't know, cooking at home. I don't know. I don't fucking know. So Chef Jason almost cooked extra gnocchi too, so he had a rocky start. Not too bad. I mean, the men on the team, they really don't like Chef Jason, so they made it seem like he caused like the end of the world to happen at the beginning of the service. And I was like, yeah, okay, you're just being over exaggerative. Like, come on, you're just playing it up because it's a show. Heather Graham 2.0 did a good job at leading, though, so good on her. After all the dumping that she got the first half of the episode, she came back strong. She turned that frown upside down. But then, boom. It is possible that Jason fucked up Jonathan's scallops, which becomes a very contentious point later on in the episode when Jason claims that he did a really good job with the scallops or something like that. I don't know. Sammy and Demir do good, obviously. I mean, they're clear front runners. They completed their courses with ease, basically, and like, yeah, they're the grown-ups in the room. And then, Danya, I think she might have been, well, actually, no, there were the scallops with Jonathan, but Danya had a raw steak. And so Gordon is like, oh my God. And I was like, why are you going, oh my God, Gordon? You had a chance to send her home last week. I could have told you that she would not have done a good job with this challenge. There's no, oh my God. I mean, you are really such a drama queen. Like, you're really playing up the drama when you know as well as I do that even though she is a great chef, you know as well as I do she was not going to do good with this challenge. And she did not take charge of her course at all. She had a hard time with it. Even though she's good at cooking, she's not good at leading. And then you went to Jason versus Carmen on dessert. And see, I said, oh boy, if Jason doesn't do good here, he's going home. And then I went, uh-oh. During the demo, Jason, the sous chef, said to leave ribbons of the raspberry or something. And Jason mistook it and thought it was the egg whites in the souffle. So I thought that was shitty. If he goes home because of this, I'm not going to be happy because it was a genuine mistake. But then I was like, uh-oh, he's a liar. Jason is a total liar because they showed a flashback, which I'm glad that they filmed that. And it also shows that the editors are so lucky they get to watch all this footage that we don't. Hashtag release the Jason cut. Where you just see like hours and hours of Jason being a weirdo so that you can laugh at him or something. I don't know. I've said I don't know a lot this video. I don't know. So yeah, he's a liar because Chef Christina, she said to take all the egg whites that have not been incorporated yet and mix them in well. And I was like, you fucking liar, you dishonest, you. Ugh. And so I was like, at that point, it is him or Danya. It better be one of them going home. I don't want to see Carmen go home yet. She's still got some gymnastics to do. And then Carmen does not do well once again. And I put, this has been the most stressful episode of the season for sure. And the souffles also started deflating on the men's team. But I gotta say, like, even though they were deflating, those raspberry souffles, they looked really, really delicious. Like, I think out of every single thing that I've seen this entire season on this show, I think the raspberry souffles would be the number one thing that I would choose to eat. That's how good they look to me. I don't know why, but they look really, really good. And I was like, it's so nice to see Hell's Kitchen doing dessert. And then I predict Jason goes home. They had to pick the weakest leaders. Well, not the weakest chef. So it wasn't about, like, being the worst cook. It was about being the worst leader. Carmen tried to use her mental gymnastics to excuse her weak leadership. And then it was funny because Sammy's like, I disagree. And I thought that was really hilarious. Like, she just quickly fired back as soon as Carmen was like, well, actually, I think I'm the most confident or one of the loudest voices. And Sammy's just like, I disagree. That was like Safi yesterday with Fargo. She kept on being like, I disagree. So Jonathan, he says that Jason's attitude hasn't gone away. And I gotta say, duh, his attitude hasn't gone away. Like, his team has tried to get rid of him every single week and make him the scapegoat of all their problems. Like, they're always quick to just say, like, oh, Jason, he's the one. He's the worst. Like, they're every single week, too. Like, every single week, they're always, like, on Jason. Like, even though he does make mistakes, especially this episode, I thought he deserved to go home as much as Danya, if not a little bit more. But she was the worst leader, I think. But I think the thing is, though, is that other chefs refuse to take accountability. And I really don't understand, too. Like, there has not been a very strong emphasis on chefs taking accountability this season. Like, you had that other woman. Who was that? The woman who took accountability? It's such a terrible description, but, like, I genuinely don't remember at this moment. But you had that other one who took a full accountability for her mistakes, and she still got sent home. And it was said that, like, oh, she was admitting that she was bad or something like that. Was that the sad sack? Was that the little sad sack Sandra? The little cheesesteak girl? Was she the one? Was she the sad girl who said or took accountability for her mistakes instead of blaming Jason or, pretending like she didn't do anything wrong? And then you have in this episode, they just kind of brush over the fact that nobody took accountability for those mistakes. I mean, that is a big issue. If you're a leader, you're supposed to take accountability for your mistakes. And at least in the elimination, Jason did take a little bit of accountability, like a little bit. Danya didn't. She said that she's a great leader, and you can teach cooking, but you can't teach great leadership. And it's like, well, then you're admitting that you're a bad leader and you can't be fixed, because Gordon knew that she was a bad leader. And by her saying that he can't teach her how to be a better leader, she basically, she fucked herself up right there. And so she goes home, and I was like, good job, Gordon. You did what you should have done a week ago. I give the episode a B+. I really enjoyed this episode, even though this review was very scatterbrained. I do hope that she has good luck in the future, though, because she deserves it. She's not a bad chef at all. She's very, very good, but she's not the best around. The best around is Sammy, as I knew from the very beginning. Except for when she chose truffle oil. That was a sin. That was a cardinal sin. And then Chef Gordon warned Jason. And now that indicates to me, if he ever goes up for elimination again, he's going home immediately. Because that's what happens. If he warns someone on Hell's Kitchen that they're on thin ice, that means as soon as they go back up again, they're gone. So, I guess if you guys don't like Jason, you can look forward to that. I don't really care. It's a show, so I'm not going to take it too seriously. So anyways, please like this video and comment and tell me what you thought of the episode. And do you agree or do you disagree? Because I think also Jonathan, he's very overly sensitive. I mean, he got really upset that Jason mentioned him in the elimination. I was like, God, stop being such a bitch. Like, this is a competition, and like, you're one of the competitors, and like, he can say your name if he damn well wants. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, grow a pair. Jason, he needs to grow a pair too and take accountability for all of his mistakes, which they need to have. Like, I would recommend Chef Gordon, besides getting rid of all of your frozen meals because they suck, what, I would say to make a challenge for next season of Hell's Kitchen where the purpose is to make a mistake and then take accountability for that mistake. Because you need to teach these chefs that it's not a weakness to take accountability when you make a mistake. It's a weakness to pretend like you didn't make a mistake, or to pretend like you're not capable of making mistakes. Because you don't want a leader who doesn't take accountability for their actions. That's not a real leader. That's a loser. And then also please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest Hell's Kitchen reviews. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.